CM Punk thought he was untouchable. He walked around SmackDown like he owned the place, running his mouth, pulling strings backstage, acting like nobody had the guts to step to him. And for a while, he was right. Nobody did. But that all ended, and I mean ended, the night Nick Aldis stepped onto that SmackDown stage and detonated a nuclear bomb right in the middle of WWE's landscape. And if you think that's dramatic, just wait until you hear what happened backstage, because the Shield didn't just reunite, they hunted CM Punk like a pack of wolves, and they left him in a heap. This isn't a rumor. This isn't speculation. This happened. And if you're a CM Punk fan sitting there getting ready to click off good luck sleeping tonight, because everything your guy built just got demolished, let's get into it. So here's where we are. CM Punk has been operating on SmackDown with this invisible armor around him. He's been politicking, he's been talking, he's been doing what CM Punk does best, making himself the center of every single conversation. He had people believing he was protected, that certain locker rooms wouldn't dare touch him, that his position within WWE creative and management gave him a shield pun absolutely intended that nobody could penetrate. He was positioning himself as the smartest guy in every room, the guy who always had a plan, the guy who always had leverage. Nick Aldis just ripped that leverage out of his hands and snapped it in half on live television. Now let me paint this picture for you, because if you missed SmackDown, you missed one of the most jaw-dropping authority figure moments we have seen in years. Nick Aldis comes out, and he doesn't come out soft. He doesn't come out diplomatic. He walks down that ramp with the energy of a man who has had enough. And you could feel it through the screen. The crowd felt it. The roster felt it. And CM Punk, wherever he was watching from, definitely felt it. Aldis gets on the mic and lays it all out. He makes it crystal clear that the era of CM Punk doing whatever he wants, whenever he wants, with zero consequences, that era is over. He announces sweeping changes to SmackDown's structure, changes that directly clip Punk's wings, changes that strip away the informal power Punk had been accumulating. And Aldis does it with this cold, controlled authority that is somehow more terrifying than any screaming promo. He wasn't angry. He was done. There's a difference. Angry men make threats. Done men make decisions. And Nick Aldis made a decision. The crowd erupted. And not just because of what Aldis said, but because of what it meant. It meant somebody in a position of real power finally looked at the CM Punk situation and said, no more. And the entire SmackDown universe felt that shift in real time. But here's where this story goes from great to absolutely legendary. Backstage. After Aldis's announcement, CM Punk is furious, and rightfully so, because his whole game plan just got torched. He's storming through the back, probably looking for someone to vent to, someone to strategize with, some way to spin this into his narrative. And that's when it happened. The lights in that backstage corridor might as well have gone out, because what emerged from the shadows was something that the entire WWE universe thought was gone forever. Something that, when you see it, makes your stomach drop and your heart rate spike whether you love them or hate them. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, together, in Shield tactical gear, in that hallway, looking at CM Punk. Let that sink in for a second. The Shield, reunited, backstage on SmackDown, standing between CM Punk and whatever exit he was trying to find. Now I need you to understand the weight of this moment. The Shield is not just a faction. The Shield is a mythology. These three men, when they are united, have destroyed every single thing that has ever been placed in front of them. They demolished the Authority. They ran roughshod over the Wyatt family. They obliterated Evolution twice. The Shield doesn't lose when they're together. That is not hyperbole. That is the historical record of professional wrestling. And now they are standing in front of CM Punk, who, by the way, just had his institutional protection stripped away by Nick Aldis not 15 minutes earlier. The timing was not an accident. You don't think these three men knew what Aldis was announcing? You don't think this was coordinated? This was surgical. This was a hit, and Punk walked right into it. What followed was one of the most visceral beatdowns we have seen on WWE programming in a long time. And I want to be specific about this, because I know some of you are going to say, well, it's just a beatdown, we've seen those. No, you have not seen this. Because this wasn't three guys jumping somebody. This was three apex predators who have been watching CM Punk poison the locker room, manipulate situations, and dodge accountability, and they collectively decided that tonight was the night the bill came due. Reigns, and this is the thing that broke the internet, Reigns went first. Not Moxley. Not Rollins. Roman Reigns stepped forward, and the look on his face was not the tribal chief. It wasn't even the old Shield Roman. It was something older and darker than both of those, and he just dismantled Punk with a ferocity that reminded everyone watching exactly why this man was the most dominant champion in the history of WWE. That Superman punch connected with the force of every single slight, every single political game Punk had played, every single moment Punk had spent undermining people around him. It was personal. It looked personal. It felt personal. then Seth Rollins. And Seth is someone who has his own very well documented history with CM Punk, going all the way back to the days when Punk was treating the future of this business like they were beneath him. Seth came in like a wrecking ball wrapped in chaos. The stomp that followed Reigns' attack was so devastating the camera crew had to cut away for a second. Seth stood over Punk, and he didn't say a word. He didn't need to. The stomp said everything. And then Moxley. Jon Moxley, who operates on a frequency that the rest of the wrestling world doesn't even have access to, who has spent years since his Shield days becoming something altogether more terrifying than what he was before Moxley was last. And last was worst. Because by the time Moxley got to Punk, Punk had nothing left. No defense. No positioning. No leverage. And Moxley treated the situation accordingly. This wasn't a wrestling move. This was a message written in the language that only people like Moxley and Punk truly speak, the language of consequence. When it was over, CM Punk was left in that hallway alone. Nick Aldis had stripped his power. The Shield had stripped his dignity. And Smackdown went to commercial break like the whole landscape of WWE hadn't just shifted on its axis. Now I need to talk about what this means going forward, because the implications here are enormous and I don't think people are grasping the full scope of what was set in motion on this episode. First, Nick Aldis. This man just announced himself as a legitimate force of authority in WWE. Not a rubber stamp. Not a corporate mouthpiece. An actual decision-maker with the spine to go after the most protected, most connected, most volatile superstar on the SmackDown roster. That takes guts. That takes confidence. And it tells us that Aldis is backing from somewhere, because you do not make a move like this against CM Punk without having support at the highest levels. Someone gave Aldis the green light. Who was that? What does that mean for the future of SmackDown's power structure? These are questions that are going to drive storylines for months. Second, the Shield reunion. And I want to be really careful here, because I know some of you are going to immediately say, this is just a one-night thing, they'll be fighting each other by next week. And look, maybe you're right. The history of the Shield reunions is that they tend to be short-lived. But the circumstances here are different, because this wasn't a reunion born out of nostalgia or a special event pop. This was a reunion born out of shared purpose. Reigns, Rollins, and Moxley all have legitimate reasons to want CM Punk removed from power. All three of them have been affected directly or indirectly by the chaos Punk creates wherever he goes. This reunion has roots. It has motivation. And that makes it more dangerous and more sustainable than anything we've seen from these three in a long time. Third, CM Punk's trajectory. Where does he go from here? Because Punk, to his credit, is not someone who stays down. He is going to come back from this. He is going to regroup, recalibrate, and find a new angle. That is what CM Punk does. He adapts. He survives. And the version of CM Punk that comes back from being publicly humiliated by Aldis and physically destroyed by the Shield is going to be the most dangerous version of CM Punk we have ever seen. Because pride, in Punk's case, is rocket fuel. Every time someone has counted him out, every time someone has tried to end him, he has come back worse for them, more focused, more ruthless, more willing to burn everything down to prove a point. So we're not at the end of this story. We are at the inciting incident. This is the first chapter of something that is going to consume SmackDown for a very long time. Now, before I wrap up, I want to address something directly, because I know the comments on this video are going to be divided. Half of you are losing your minds with excitement because the Shield is back and Punk got what was coming to him. And the other half of you, the Punk faithful, are already typing in all caps about how Punk is going to burn all three of them down and how Aldis overstepped and how this is all going to blow up in everyone's faces. And you know what? Both sides might be right. That is the beauty of what WWE has set up here. There is no clean good guy. There is no clean bad guy. There's just a powder keg, and somebody just lit the fuse. What I know for certain is this: SmackDown just gave us the most compelling reason to tune in every single week that we have had in years. The stakes are real. The history is real. The emotion is real. And whatever comes next is going to be unmissable. Drop a comment right now. Are you riding with the Shield, or are you betting on CM Punk to flip this whole situation on its head? I genuinely want to know where this audience stands, because this is one of those moments in wrestling where you are either on one side of history or the other. There is no middle ground. And if you're new to Ring Rumble 1, welcome to the channel that doesn't sugarcoat, doesn't play it safe, and never buries the lead. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video because your wrestling friends need to see this breakdown. This is the kind of moment that defines an era, and we are living in it right now. Ring Rumble 1. We don't just watch wrestling, we feel it.